Hello and welcome back to another episode of One More Glass of Wine. I'm Jeremy Marskalk, your host, and today I'm really excited about this one. We're joined by Katie Barratt, the Wine Fairy. Welcome, Katie. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, thanks very much for having me along.
We were actually just discussing before we started that we needed to wet the lips
Absolutely.
with a little glass of wine.
Absolutely.
So it wouldn't be the One More Glass of Wine podcast without a sip before we start.
Got to. It's my favorite thing to do.
Yeah, welcome, Katie. So please, for our guests that don't know you, I mean, you and I, we've known each other for quite some time now. Let us know a little bit about you. What do you do, your history? How did you become so prolific in wine? Yes, I did just call you prolific.
I'll take it. You know, it's a long story, I guess. It was a dark and stormy night when I fell in love with wine. But maybe I shouldn't tell you those details too soon. But yeah, I'm Katie, as you know, and I have a company called The Wine Fairy, and I've been running that now since 2010. And it's a tourism company, locally and internationally. I now make a little bit of wine on the side. But essentially, I just fell in love with wine many years ago. I was 19 years old and at hotel school. And we came with 40 students on a bus. We came down to the winelands. You can imagine, age group 19 through 23, a little bit of chaos.
Lots of chaos.
And we arrived.
Lots of wine.
Yeah, exactly. And we arrived at this first winery and it was April. So picture the scene. It was a bit of a hot day. I'm that girl that likes to know everything. I'm a why girl. So I was at the front of the class, teacher's pet. And we were waiting. And then suddenly the cellar door swings open. And I swear there was lights and music. You know, that fabulous moment when the angels sing. And exactly. And Hannes Meiberg stepped out from Meerlust. And the next thing I know, I was waking up in his arms. So I decided this must be love. I'd literally just passed out from the CO2 because of the fermentation in the vineyard.
Yeah.
So the fermentation happening in the cellar, that as the door opened just took me over with the heat and everything combined.
Wow.
And I decided this
Hannes
is love.
Caught you.
Yeah, Hannes literally caught me. So that was my start in wine. And I think that really just set me up to love everything about it. You know, it's more than just what's in the glass, isn't it? It's so much beyond. It's the stories. It's beyond the cellar. Sure. It's the people. And so I fell in love with wine, and wine remains my first love today.
Oh, I love to hear that. That's amazing. I'm so glad you're joining us then, talking about a bit of wine that you love. So your start for your first winery was Meerlust. That's a nice way to start at the top, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And kind of kept it going from there. You know, the world is so full of wine.
Yeah.
I'm one of those girls that it takes so much passion and so much work to make a beautiful wine that you can't judge it just on, you know, what's in front of you or its name. And everybody, there's a reason why they've made that wine. It may not be to your taste, but somebody's put their life's work into it.
Yeah,
so
no, that's for sure.
Life may be too short to drink mediocre wine, but you know, there's a wine for everyone out there.
Yeah, no, that's the truth. That's the truth. Okay, so starting off loving wine just by basically passing out. Then where did you land yourself? Where did you first start working in the industry?
So from there, we went back to hotel school after those 2 weeks, and I'd originally signed up to do chefing because one loves food, of course.
Okay.
But I immediately switched my majors to be front of house so I could focus more on my wine studies than on the food itself. And that saw me going through the whole Cape Wine Academy program all the way through diploma. And I ended up working in some catering jobs at AECI back in Johannesburg. Yeah. And then I got a great opportunity with Ben Malta. Ben Malta was a famous restaurateur back in the day. Okay. He had restaurants Lingalongo in Johannesburg.
Oh, wow.
And he was contracted to open up Spear, of all places.
Oh, okay.
And I applied for this job to move to the winelands to be the picnic manager.
So I'll get you down to the winelands.
Exactly. Though, so. Anything to get me to the winelands. So I started off at Spear as the picnic manager. And then, of course, being exposed to wine. And then, funnily enough, went off to the Mug and Bean because Ben was then opening up all these coffee shops. So I started out as restaurant manager and opening team of the Mug and Bean chain all those years ago. Yeah, at the waterfront. Yeah. So the giant muffin has my fingerprint on it. And then from there, literally just through restaurants and the wine industry. But I decided a long time ago that I wanted to be sort of a consultant into the wine world, into hospitality more so. You know, for me, training is crucial. And I think the element of hospitality and service has gone on a long journey. You know, some people it's now just a job, whereas actually it should be a real passion for people to be of the service industry. And I wanted to be in the winelands, but ultimately I wanted to have a consultancy business in the whole sector of food and wine. So I set myself up to do all these different jobs to make sure that I was following the entire supply chain, with the idea that once that's gone from consumer to producer and everything in between, that I could then go out on my own. You know, you can be good at many things, but you don't have to be good at everything. Yeah. You just have to be exposed to certain elements to understand what's expected of that position. But, you know, the beauty is finding people that can do it better than you can. And that's the whole point of leadership, really.
I was about to say that makes you a great leader.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I ended up after working, had my own restaurant down in Neisner. I was working there. And then I moved to Cape Town back in 2010 to start Wine Fairy. But of course, one needs to gather a little bit of experience elsewhere. And I was at the Cape Grace for a short stint of my life. And then I got a call from my recruitment agent to say, we found you the job. This is it. It's the last step in your journey to work at a winery. So I was like, oh, I know, I'm happy where I am. I don't want to. But I went for the interview, and 4 hours later, I walked out with the job. Started the next Monday, and that was at De Morgan's on the other side of Stellenbosch.
Oh, with David.
Exactly, with David, who works with you now. Yeah. Yes, so David and I worked together for about 3 years at De Morgan's on.
Okay.
Learned many lessons.
Yeah, your history with Waterford continues.
Indeed. No, it's well intertwined, my history with Waterford.
Okay, that's amazing. Yeah. Well, speaking of Waterford and the glass that we've got in front of us, today we're tasting the Waterford Estate Chardonnay 2020.
Ooh.
Yeah, I do know that you are a Chardonnay fan. In fact, when we were writing this, I did call you the South African Queen of Chardonnay.
I'll drink to that. I'll drink to that.
Cheers, I'll drink to that as well. You said earlier you're making a bit of wine yourself. It's definitely a Chardonnay, it has to be. Tell us a bit about that.
It is a Chardonnay. Well, you know, I'm going to blush about this. I get all
Only for the ones that watch it. They'll see you
true.
blush.
Fair enough. Well, I love wine, as we know, and I think it's a wonderful thing. And I've never really wanted to make my own wine because I don't like to be judged by people. I think that's the standard thing in the world. Everyone has their own issues. But the opportunity came up that friends of mine have a winery, and they said, we've got some extra fruit this year. You know, why don't you try your hand at it? So I did. I mean, why not?
Yeah.
After the time that we don't speak about sort of put me out of business for a couple of months.
Yeah.
One realizes that you need to have an income stream in different ways, and also that life's really short and you need to fulfill your dreams, whatever they may be.
Yeah.
So I did. I started making a little bit of wine. Just one barrel of Chardonnay, nothing too major.
How'd it come out?
So far, so good. I've just done my third vintage.
Oh, amazing. Okay. Yep. That's really cool. And the grapes are coming from?
Grapes coming from Wellington.
Okay.
So really quite hot. It was about 40 degrees Celsius at 10 o'clock in the morning when we harvested and on the 23rd of January.
Yeah.
So really, really hot, but beautiful acidity. That diurnal difference really locks in the fruit.
Amazing.
So I'm quite happy with it so far.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's really inspirational to love the industry. And now, while you were just talking about going through so many facets of it to understand it as a whole, now you're making this stuff now, which really gives you a great opportunity to see everything that goes on in the winelands.
It really does. And also to put all my education into practice, right? I mean, what's the point in doing it? Yes, life's great and you can know all these things. But unless you actually put it to the test, you'll never know.
That's true. That's so true.
Yeah.
Okay, so
this is delicious, by the way.
Oh, I'm glad. Yeah, the 2020 vintage, I'm so impressed with. You know, I never really was a Chardonnay drinker myself.
I know.
Yeah, and ABC Club, anything but Chardonnay.
Always buy Chardonnay. So it's a new word.
It's a new word of going about it.
New way for ABC Club.
Yeah, I must admit to you, I know I'm paid to say nice stuff about this wine, but this Chardonnay, it really took me by surprise. I love the acidity. It really pops for me.
It does. There's a beautiful nose on that as well.
And I think with that acidity and maybe the newer way of thinking about Chardonnay and your wines and how they age, I think that's something that's really going to hold strong in the wine when it goes the distance, when you start aging it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, I don't know
it's already 4 years old and that's still as fresh as a daisy. It's gorgeous.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know if you had a peek inside the...
I didn't.
Didn't you? Okay.
I absolutely
you're
didn't.
so well behaved. Thank you.
One tries.
We try. So then maybe what I'll ask you to do, because we know what it is.
Oh no! Now you're making me nervous. I can see by the color it's a little older.
Yeah.
But
How
don't
old do you
put
think
me
it
on the
is?
spot. Oh no! Don't do
There's
that to me.
There's only there's a couple wrong answers, but give us a ballpark. Because when I tasted this wine the other day, I was incredibly surprised by it. The color alone gave it away that it's a touch older, but the palate to me, it still really sings a younger or a more youthful wine. So let me know what you think.
Oh no, this is too much pressure, because the beautiful thing about the wines that are made here at Waterford, and it's one thing that keeps me coming back time and time again, is, well, there are many reasons for that, but the ageability of these wines is unusually long, typical to what one expects of a style this way. So this is making me really nervous. I mean, I love the Library Collection 17. That's a thing of joy. I mean, I've had the 12s and the 10s, which are remarkable, that a 14-year-old Chardonnay is still so gorgeous.
Oh, that is delicious.
Oh, you see, I haven't got there yet. I'm still sort of, I'm wasting time so I can get away with it.
Yeah, fluff around the sides, so so you don't get to the answer. I see you. I get you.
A girl's got to try.
Oh yeah.
Okay, that's beautiful.
Straight out the bat.
Yeah, that's really holding its acidity. That colour, as we know, is gorgeous. A little bit of youthful character there. Lots of floral, lots of sort of white peach, white flowers. Oh, there's a touch of an almond. There's a little bit of nut there. It's showing its age. I don't know, 2012, 20.
Oh, you're really close. This is the 2013
No way.
vintage. Nicely done, Katie. Nicely done.
Oh, bugger, just 1 year out.
Oh yeah, no.
13, lucky for some. Unlucky for me, but I'm lucky to drink it.
How amazing is that? Hey, that is holding. I think that could go for a good couple of years for a Chardonnay, for a white to go that length, hey?
Yeah, I mean, that's 11 years old as we sit here right now. That's incredible.
That is incredible, hey?
The only thing giving it away is its colour. It's certainly got all that mid-palate, beautiful weight, and a lovely length on the finish. That's
for sure, yeah. It lingers with you. I always find what I enjoy most about our Chardonnay is the granitic-based soil. You really taste that minerality that shines through in the finish. I feel it just leaves you with a bit of that salinity. So
I'm putting a pork crackling with that, or a beautiful mushroom risotto.
Is that the pairing here?
Well, yeah, maybe it's a bit early for lunch, but there's definitely, it can handle a saltiness. It can handle something with a bit more weight because of that beautiful consistency.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Some really lovely insight, actually, in pairing some Chardonnays.
No, well, you know me, I do like to.
Wine is foodie side.
Well, I am a foodie as well, exactly. So,
okay.
I mean, look, I've been known to pair a Chardonnay with a Kentucky Fried Chicken. Don't tell anybody that.
We'll keep your
and
secret safe.
I'm not marketing. Sorry, I don't know. But hey, I keep my secrets safe.
Oh yeah, no, don't worry. We'll try to keep them for you here.
That's lovely. Thank you for sharing that.
Worries.
That's a very special wine.
Cheers to you.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, then back to your history.
Oh dear, yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're tasting a historic or a wine with a bit of history on it, so we need to touch your history. Your history here with Waterford. When did you start your wine fairy expedition this side? When did you first get in contact with us?
So Waterford and I go way before my wine fairy experimentation here. Look, with wine fairy, I started bringing guests from 2010. But I first was introduced to the Waterford way way back in 2004.
Oh, wow.
So the farm was really still very young at that stage. What, 98 you all started?
Yeah, that's us.
So it was relatively young. And I was working in restaurants in Knysna in the Garden Route. And I remember Kevin coming in back in the day. And gosh, it was Gareth and Evan back in those days that were in the marketing team. And they were trying to sell us Waterford wines. But of course, it was an unknown brand to many people in the restaurant world in those days. And we all loved Kevin's Shiraz, as people do. Yeah. And the whole idea was, well, if you wanted this wine and you got some of these, then you could have this. So instantly we listed them on the wine list. And in those days, I was working with a group of restaurants. So we were like, thank you very much. Yes, we'll take those. We like you. And in the true Waterford way, the boys were gorgeous. The quality of wine is absolutely fantastic. And yeah, that was where my journey began. So we were buying wines and selling them. So
that's incredible.
Well, in those early days, it takes a lot of a hand sell to get a brand known.
For sure. Especially such a new brand.
Such a new brand, absolutely. So being able to tell the story, and I think for me, a story is really important. And that's one thing you guys do very well, is you create a story, you create the sense of place, and that's transferred from one person to another. And what I share with my guests, whether they be diners in a restaurant or whether they be my guests that I bring here. So my first, as I say, 2004, what's that, 20 years? I've been drinking Waterford for 20 years. Oh, gosh, I'll even drink to that myself.
We'll drink to that, Congratulations. Thanks for being with us for so long.
Yeah, exactly. Crumbs. I was young when I started coming here. Anyway, and then, as I say, so supported the brand all along, and then have been bringing guests here since 2010 when I started Wine Fairing. Took a little bit of time to get my own brand off the ground. And as I say, I was working with De Morgan's on for a while, with working at the Cape Grace. But when I went full-time fairy, as I like to call it, I come here quite frequently.
Yeah, we do see you here quite regularly.
You see me at least once a week, if not twice, and sometimes of the year.
It's always so pleasant and lovely to see you in our tasting room.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But it's always such a joy to drive in. Even today, I picked up guests at the airport this morning and we've come here to see you. And you just drive up the driveway and there's a sudden calm as you come in, because the trees, there's a slight breeze, regardless of the weather, it's always gorgeous here. And then it opens up to this magnificent you could be in Tuscany. And that's the one thing that's so beautiful that I love about Waterford, is it represents a sense of place because of our Mediterranean climate that we have here. Yeah. But we're representing a lot of French varietal styles, or international grape varieties, as we call them now. And it's just a lovely thing. And the fact that you then drive in through the clementine trees to this gorgeous place and the mountain behind it, it's breathtaking every single time. And then you get this warm welcome, and you're guaranteed that the guests are going to leave with some form of experience, whether they like the wines or not. There's going to be something that lives on with the Waterford way.
I love that.
That makes me bring people here every time. I know that I'm guaranteed joy at the end of this driveway every single time.
Oh, that's amazing.
Well,
that takes the questions right out of my mouth.
Sorry,
I was asking what keeps you coming back to us. So I love that.
And it's it's the constant change. I mean, I've seen this place change over the last 20 years. Obviously, staff come and go, people come and go. For the most part, it seems like Mark and I, you can't get rid of us.
No, you like the furniture these days.
Thanks. Did you just call me an antique?
That's called foot and mouth syndrome right there.
It's all right. You keep me polished. I'll be fine. I'll go for a while.
Like a little top up
I was going to say top me up there. But where was I going? Oh, I've seen the evolution of things happening here at Waterford, and that's also fascinating. How the wine style has changed. I mean, if you look at the Chardonnay that we're drinking now, the Chardonnay that was and the Chardonnay that is now is a very different wine. And I think that's how the industry's changing as well. And you're always ahead of the curve with that. There's always an experiment. There's always the library collection. There's something interesting going on at Waterford. I mean, I'm quite a fussy person. If you keep me coming back all the time, there's got to be something.
Doing something. Yeah. Okay.
You clearly are doing something, and it's working.
Oh, well, thank you for that. I mean, it takes a lot of effort. The team work incredibly hard with trainings and keeping the students here and enthusiastic about what they do. It's a testament to the hard work that they're doing. So
it is. But that's obvious. That's obvious when you walk in, that the staff almost want to be here. There's the warmest welcome when you arrive. And yes, we have new people, and we train them up, but that's also part of the joy, is to see how the staff evolve during their time working here.
Of course.
And how their knowledge improves over the time that they're here. And you're setting up not only the joy for us, but you're setting up these students. Look at yourself, for example. I mean, I met you when you were on the floor here.
Yeah, that's true.
Working the floor, not on the floor. That sounds terrible.
I didn't drink that much wine when we first met.
No, that's a story we're not going to tell today. No. And look at where you are now. And that, I think, is a wonderful thing about Waterford as well, giving back to its wine industry. Anyway, I could gush about you all day, but I won't.
Why do you think I've brought you onto the podcast?
Maybe. Yeah, and I'm not paid to be here. No. I do come willingly.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I mean, the allure of wine as well.
Always,
yeah.
I told you wine's my first love, and it's Chardonnay like this. I mean,
that'll keep you coming back
all the time.
So you've actually done a bit of wine judging as well.
I have.
in your career? I feel like, what haven't you done in the wine industry?
Very little.
Very little.
There's very little I haven't done, but that's the whole point of creating this, what would you call it? Like this whole sort of, the whole scenario to understand every angle of it. Yeah.
So wine judging.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy that side of the industry?
I loved it.
I loved wine judging.
Do you know how much power it's obviously false sense of power, but I do quite like the control element. I loved it. I started out as an associate judge, just sort of sitting in and listening to all the clever people in the room. Too much wine. Have another swig, Jeremy.
Ooh, that's wine down the wrong hole. Sorry.
Yeah. So I learned so much from just being in the room with those people. And then when I was on the official panels judging, it's just wonderful. I've been exposed to so many wines. The sad thing about it, in my opinion, is that I never knew what I was drinking.
Okay.
Obviously, we're assessing the wine, so we know what style it is, we know what varietal it is. Obviously, through, I'd like a little tap on the shoulder here, my skills, we can identify what those wines are.
Yeah.
But from 1 to 100, I'd be like, oh, wine number 12 is delicious. And you'd want to drink it. And then, oh, wine number 67. But of course, because the nature is it's so secret, it's audited, we were never allowed to know what those wines were. Okay. And I've tasted some fantastic wines in this industry, let me tell you.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of fun judging. Okay. But now, obviously, being a producer myself, or be a tiny producer, I don't feel that it's right. That I can now sit in judgment of anybody else.
Yeah. Seeing behind the curtain, seeing how things go from the other side.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And also the whole industry of the wine awards system, I think the approach to that's changing as well.
Okay.
It's not about what other people say your wine is worth. It's what's in the glass, right?
Yeah.
I can say that, this is a 100-point score. Fine. But if it's not to your palate, what's the point?
What's the point? Yeah, okay.
So, and it became a bit of the judging scenario is wonderful. I respect it. But there are almost too many competitions, and who do you trust, and how does it go? Oh, this is the best Sauvignon Blanc. Well, where? And out of how many people? And what are the qualifications of the people that tasted it? So there are too many variables for me.
I hear you. Yeah.
But I love it as a guideline, like
For
anything.
sure.
It's the same as a movie critic, right? So if you've got somebody, if you align with their palate, you align with their taste, great guideline, go for it.
You're going to enjoy every wine they rate highly.
The only person that matters when drinking wine is you. And what you enjoy. And you need to drink it as you like it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a purist, sure. The right glass is fabulous. But if you want to put ice in your wine, go for it. If you want to, you've bought the bottle. Yeah. You deserve to drink it as you like it.
Yeah.
I'm not advocating ice in wine. I'd rather make wine cubes, put wine cubes in the same glass, freeze them. Okay. But you still need to drink it as you like it, regardless of the judging.
No, that's true. I always tell the story of my gran. When I first started working in the wine industry here, I took her our rosé.
Oh,
lovely rosé. Yeah, my gran only drinks rosé, but the one that comes in a box. We won't name names.
There's nothing wrong with Chateau Card Bordeaux.
No, Chateau. Can I steal that one?
You can.
Oh, I'm going to steal that one.
You can. Chateau Card Bordeaux.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. So I took her this rosé, and I was going, Granny, this is an authentic French style of making this rosé. You're going to love it. She took one sip, spat it out, and said, bring me my box. Each to their own.
A girl that knows what she likes.
Exactly. She knows what she likes. Exactly. Yeah, I love my gran to death. So that really showed me that you can't force someone to love something that they aren't going to. So I 100% agree with you.
And price point as well. You know, there's such a thing about, this wine's expensive, therefore it must be good. Sure, there's reasons why it's at that price, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to suit your palate.
Yeah, that's true. No, spot on.
You buy wines according to often what the pretty label is and what amount of money I'm prepared to spend.
Yeah.
And if that suits your palate, well, then go for it.
Yeah, go for it.
Tuesday wines versus Friday wines. Tuesday wine every day. Friday maybe a little bit more special.
Something special. Treat yourself. Okay. Well, I'm glad we're talking about the wine industry here in South Africa. Are you enjoying the direction as now a producer that we're going in? You already touched on the newer styles. Is this more your palate?
Oh, I love it how you're calling me a producer. I make 300 bottles. I'm hardly a producer.
Queen of Chardonnay in South Africa.
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
a producer.
Yeah, gosh, you're making me
coming.
blush. Keep them coming. Look, I love the way the industry's changing. I'm obviously relating my business. I'm in touch with a lot of tourists, right? So I'm seeing it from their perspective. And the South African industry is growing immensely. From a consumer point of view. From a producer side, I understand there's lots of difficulties and complications. But as a country, the tourism is up, the consumption is up. And it's a wonderful thing that we're seeing happening. Okay. So many people don't actually get the exposure to South African wines. You know, you can't go into America supermarket. There's all these wines. You know, it's difficult to highlight why should they choose South Africa when they've got Italian and even English wines and all these others around.
So much variety.
But the more and more people that are coming here, I think once someone's been here, and they experience the wines, they experience the country, they go home and they seek them out. Okay. And that's really making a difference in that, you know, demand and supply whole scenario.
Yeah.
I think it's a wonderful way that our industry's changing. We speak of sustainability.
Yeah.
We're using oak barrels how many times for how long?
Yeah.
So, you know, the sustainability has always been questionable in many of our practices, but we are making significant changes in how we're farming, regenerative farming, what we're doing. We're using alternatives to oak. And to me personally, yes, it suits my palate. But I guess if you asked me that question 30 years ago, I may have had a different response. Yeah. Because my palate has also changed.
Of course, yeah, we're all grown and
changed. There's always this ever thing is, you know, is it my palate that's dictating what I drink, or is it what I'm drinking dictating my palate? Okay. And that's an ongoing journey, I reckon.
Well, that's the joy of the journey of wine, I feel. And I've been telling people, you got a journey with your wines. For aging them, you know, one of my great sales techniques, I guess you could call it, and maybe not great, but it worked to some extent in the tasting room. You always have to buy 3, whether it's 3 boxes or 3 bottles. One for now, because you just bought it. You better know what it tastes like later. You're going to love it. Drink it in 5 years, so there's your middle bottle, and then your last one, you got to hold on to it. So you've got an ability to see how it grows and ages, and then you can, through your own eyes and palate, see at which point you like that wine. And, you know, not all Cabernets or Chardonnays are made the same or made equal.
That's a great thing. I appreciate that. I think I need to maybe practice that. Because, like, tasting this one today, this older vintage is 2013, so often we don't have the time to sit on our wines, or the space, or the inclination. Oh, yeah. And in many cases, I think that is quite sad. And I speak for myself. I mean, I'm a drink it now, young, feisty, even these big, heavy reds, you know, the younger, the better. Okay. I'm still talking about wine. Yeah. But, sorry.
No, we'll give you that one.
But there's definitely merit in aging the wine and seeing what it can become and what it evolves to. Yeah. I mean, that takes us to the whole screw cap and cork thing, right? I mean, and it's going to evolve. A lot of winemakers, they want to see where it's going to go. Exactly. And I think in so many cases, we need to respect the wine for more than just cracking it open, chugging it back.
Of course, yeah.
There's so much more. And it brings me back to what I said originally about people are putting their livelihood into this. They're putting so much passion, heart and soul into making wines. And we need to sometimes slow down how we drink them and when we drink them to appreciate and recognize what went into it in the first place.
Of course, yeah. I think that also the romance of coming out to the winery and seeing the winemaking process gives you an understanding of how everything works on the side, and the time, the effort, the space. I mean, that sounds so bizarre, but the space to hold wine for 2 years while it matures it takes a lot to get that right.
It really does, and time is money. And I think that, you know, people don't necessarily appreciate that either. So yeah, you're spot on, and that's why I love bringing people out here. And every day I meet different people, right? Every day is a blind date in my life. Some days I'll get a second date. Yay. But it is that. And it's to see how people light up when they realize that. It's when people have a glass of wine and you explain a little bit more to it than what they used to. And they get it. Yeah. And that makes it so rewarding. It's changing people's lives day by day, sip by sip. For them understanding how much more goes into the process, how much passion there is behind it, rather than just paying money at the grocery store. Yeah. And it's a wonderful thing to be able to share. Okay. And is that everybody should get it.
Yeah. Is that what keeps you doing the wine fairy tours?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it probably is. Okay. The fact that I get to share my knowledge on it with all these people. You know, I like to simplify things, right? I mean, obviously I like to continually learn about wine for myself personally, but then I like to break it down into simple things so that we can get more and more people understanding wine and drinking wine and why they drink wine. So yeah, I guess that is why I keep doing it. Okay. Why I keep sort of convincing myself that maybe I need a new adventure. But I keep coming back to sharing knowledge and sharing a glass of wine. Yeah. It breaks down barriers.
That's
and it
sure.
makes people really happy.
Yeah.
And can I tell you, when I meet people for the first time and then I add alcohol.
Instant friends.
Instant friends. Things change. People tell you stories they may never. I'm no barman by no means, but I think it is. It's the joy of sharing wine. And I know I keep saying joy, but it's what it brings.
Yeah, that's exactly it, yeah.
And that keeps me coming back time and time again.
Oh, I love that.
Me too.
Yeah, amazing. Well, cheers to you.
Cheers
and
indeed.
The future, we spoke about the future and the direction of South African wine, but the future now
briefly.
of Waterford.
Yeah.
The direction we're moving in from a winemaking ethos, the regenerative farming aspects that we're championing, the Cabernet Sauvignon, that's our baby. How's that? Oh, yeah, I like that.
So I'm just helping myself.
No, that's all right. She
yes.
who helps herself is truly helped. There we go. We'll get you a little bit of the older as well.
Yeah.
This direction, do you see it bringing tourists here left, right, and center? I mean, throughout South Africa, I feel the big push for sustainability and the South African culture within the wine has been such a driving point, I feel, of many wine farms. Do you think that's something that's going to really stand the wine industry here and Waterford in good stead?
Absolutely. Yes, without a doubt, 100%. Can I foresee the future into how better we can do things? I'm not that clever. I'm not in that sort of farming regime. But I absolutely think as the new generation comes about, they've got different reasons for drinking. And in many cases, a lot of them don't. So I do think from a farming perspective, absolutely, we're doing great things to help the environment. And we're doing that not only to help the environment, but to help the wine itself, right? The more you nurture the vineyard, the one thing that's left behind is the soil.
Yeah.
So we've got to really nurture that soil and focus on what we grow. And let's not forget, we grow wine. Yes, you can manipulate it in the cellar to a certain extent, and that's going to do wonderful things. But you can't make good wine from bad fruit.
That's true.
So from the farming perspective, absolutely. I think where we need to potentially look at new changes going forward is our packaging. And I know we laugh about Chateau Card Bordeaux, and it is really funny.
Yeah.
And I know glass is recyclable, but maybe there are new modern ways that we need to look at and create you're a generation younger than me, at least one. And how the approach and how do we reach out to those people? So I think that's our new challenge going forward. Farming, we've got handled. We're doing all the regenerative. It's a wonderful thing. But it's how do we speak to the new market?
Okay.
And to bring people into the wine industry. For me as a student, it was all about drinking, right? We skipped class to go drinking.
Yeah.
We had one of our classes, our lecturer took us to a bar at noon.
Okay.
There was a strip show, and we used to go down to watch the strip show. I know, it's scary, but true.
Scandal,
we used to go, it was management class. We used to go down, watch the strip show, and he'd get us well hammered and then set us tasks, which was great. I know, like steal something, and it was something that we had to do within the bar scenario. But it taught us. Obviously, we give it back on the Monday, but it taught us ways of misbehaving. Anyway, I digress. So in my generation, a lot of us were all about drinking. This generation, there's a much more consciousness about not necessarily drinking, about being healthier in different ways. And I think packaging and the wine industry needs to look at how do we appeal to this new generation.
Very true.
From a farming perspective, we're doing great guns, but it's messaging to packaging and sustainability in their eyes, not necessarily in ours.
Yeah, that's true. You have to actually think about your end consumer.
End consumer. And I don't have the answers for that. So that's a challenge I set back to you as Waterford, is to how are we going to do that? How are we going to convince people going forward to still keep our industry alive?
Now, I'll set down the gauntlet, why don't you? Okay,
Why don't
we'll do our best.
Challenge set.
Oh, yeah. Katie, so you see a lot of local tourists and some international tourists. From a wine appreciation perspective, which nationality, I guess you could almost say, is more appreciative of the products that we have here?
Look, everyone's appreciative of South African wines. The challenge is that not everyone's exposed to them.
Okay.
My client base is typically American, just by the nature of the travelers, American and British, right? Just by the nature of how they travel, why they travel, and the money. I mean, I'm fancy, I'm expensive.
Yeah.
So, I say it as it is.
Say it as it is.
Own your worth.
Yeah.
But my experience, and this happens every single day, is that people are blown away by the quality of our wines. They cannot believe the price point and the value that they get in regards to our wines and our style and quality. You know, a lot of the wines, so we talk, I asked this question is, what are you prepared to, I spoke earlier about Tuesday wines and Friday wines, right? So one of my standard questions to the guests is, what would you be prepared to pay for a Tuesday wine versus a Friday wine? And often I get that a Friday wine is sort of $50 to $100, and a Tuesday wine is sort of $10 to $20.
Okay.
That's, if you convert that into rands, that's a lot of money.
No, it's really almost 400 odd rand for a Tuesday
For a Tuesday wine,
course,
right?
Yeah.
Which for us, some of us, yes, not everybody can afford that. So we're constantly over delivering on the quality in versus to value price of what they used to.
Yeah.
On the countryside, or on the sort of on the flip side of that, is it often works as a negative to the South African wine industry in price pointing internationally. So how we then feature there. So often we're perceived, and I say perceived, as cheaper, more affordable. Therefore, they don't expect the quality in the bottle.
Yeah.
And certainly by having the people here and exposing them to these wines and showing them, they're blown away time and time again. And yes, our industry has changed, coming back to an earlier point as well, is that we are readjusting our pricing to allow for daily drinking for us as locals.
Yeah.
Versus our export market. I mean, I think the latest statistics, we export about 50 to 53% of our total production.
Something around there,
So that, I mean, that's a good chunk of what we produce, right?
Yeah.
But that sort of, that whole perception of the wines, and we are yourselves, you know, we've got wines that are priced for Tuesday, and we've got wines that are priced not only for Friday, but for Sunday and birthdays, you know, and I think that's a wonderful thing, because we're allowing the exposure to both our local market and our international market, and then you choose the price that you pay.
Okay.
But in many cases, I feel that the quality difference is not as vast as the price difference.
I hear you.
That our affordable wines are, in many cases, gorgeous and absolutely over-deliver for the price point that we put it at.
That's for sure.
But that we're forced, I say that gently because, I mean, there isn't a gun to my head, but the industry sort of forces us to then reprice our higher-end wines so that we can get the credibility alongside the higher-price European market
The
wines
international guys,
to showcase our credibility. Even though, well, luckily for us, we're scoring hugely on the profit margin on those wines, but it does then reignite or reposition us from a credibility point of view and a quality scale internationally.
Of course.
And I see this on a daily basis, and it is very easy. And it makes my job easy. I mean, yes, you know, you're all full of compliments to me, which I take gleefully.
Oh, yes.
But it's so easy. The wine industry in this country, the beauty that we're surrounded by, the quality that delivers time and time again, makes my job the easiest job in the world, because people are blown away by everything we have to offer, from the views, from the people, from the wine quality, just everything. It's an easy sell.
Oh, what a wonderful compliment. Thank you.
Well,
thank
and
you.
it's not only to you, but it's to our industry as a
Of
whole.
course,
It's a
yeah.
real easy sell. And so pricing, I think, we're there. We're doing good things.
Amazing.
We're doing good things.
Well, Katie, thank you so much for joining us.
My absolute
You're
pleasure.
an
Thank
absolute
you.
star. Thank you for being such a big supporter of the farm and for coming back. We're going to have you back on another one of these. I
Yes,
feel
when
like
you give me your answer.
we've only done... Okay, we might get you back in
We'll
another
turn
2
the tables,
years.
yeah. We'll turn the tables.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We love seeing you here every single day, and you're such a legend.
Aw.
Keep doing what you're doing for the industry and the tourism side of everything.
Thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure to be here and certainly to drink these gorgeous wines. Cheers.
Cheers.